What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Fight Island 8, Neil Magny versus Michael Chiesa. And of course, this was supposed to be Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev, and I really wanted to see that fight. I'm sure a lot of you wanted to as well. But, I mean, this is still a really good main event, still a really good card, 14-fight card, which is going to be awesome. There will be timestamps in the description below because it will be kind of a longer video, more fights, so you can easily navigate to each fight there. So, before we get started, if you can leave a like on the video, helps out a ton, really helps out with the algorithm, with the channel as a whole. And then, of course, subscribe if you have not yet. Trying to reach that 10K subscriber goal, hopefully in the near future. I think we're about 800 away. So, a couple announcements. We'll be going live for this card. Of course, this card is Wednesday morning, really early. So, going to be going live on Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So, Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time for the, breaking down the weigh-ins. My final bets, DraftKings, all that good stuff. It's same live stream that's going to be usually on Friday. It's going to be on Tuesday now. And then, of course, we'll have another one on Friday because we have a card Saturday as well. That's that Conor McGregor card. Looking forward to that also. So for this card, I got my tape study done like 3-4 days ago. Just a lot of stuff has came up in my personal life. So finally able to get this video out. I wanted to get it out a lot earlier, but like I said, I had a lot of stuff come out. But do want to remind you guys, had a lot of people sign up on the Patreon. I think we're almost at 300 members. I think we're about 6 away from 300. So if you do want to sign up, the most popular option is going to be the $10 betting option. You get my model. You get all my bets. I do have 4 posted already. My betting breakdowns where I break down the fight from a betting perspective in a video. And then my Patreon-only live stream, which went well the last time. It's going to be sometime Tuesday night. As well. Basically, in the Patreon-only live stream, it's going to be more focused on you guys. I'm going to talk like 15 minutes betting, 15 minutes drafting, talk strategy, talk my leans, all that good stuff. And yeah, so like I said, all my stuff's always going to be free. My betting breakdowns, my live stream, my breakdowns are always going to be free. My bets, even I post them on Twitter and Instagram. But if you do want to support me more, really does help me out. And of course, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS. By the Numbers, and there I do post all my bets there on fight day. So, with that said, with that all out of the way, let's get into this 14-fight card here. So, for the first fight of the night, and like I said, Tapology has been kind of inconsistent with the bout order and all that, so I'm going off of it. If it does change, don't give me a hard time. It's not my fault. It's Tapology. So, first we have Victoria Leonardo versus Manon Fiorot. And Victoria Leonardo, she is going to be 30 years old, 5'5", 64-inch reach, 8-2, and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Manon Fiorot is going to be 30 years old, 5'7", don't overreach, 5-1, and 5-0 in her last 5 fights. Her first loss was the first fight in her MMA debut. And, I mean, just looking at this, like, they're a day apart in age. Like, isn't that's insane. They're a day apart in age. And looking at the odds here, kind of interesting what's going on here. So Manon Fiorot opened up plus 115. Plus 115. She is now sitting at minus 190. I would have absolutely loved to get her at plus 115. I'll kind of tell you why. But she is minus 190, and I really do expect that to get wider and wider as the fight week goes on, or the short fight week goes on here after people get out their breakdowns, because I think she's really, really good. And then Leonardo sitting at plus 165 now. She opened up a slight favorite at minus 135, which is that's insane. So watching tape on Leonardo, I went into her first and just very underwhelmed. I really questioned her striking ability. I questioned her striking defense. She got head kicked like 4 or 5 times in a row. Finally ended up getting finished. I really questioned her IQ. Her ground game is decent. She's good at takedowns, good top control. Just not overly impressed with her whatsoever. And then I get into the Manon Fiorot fight tape, and she's an absolute beast. I mean, her striking is fantastic. Between these two, like, the striking is really not going to even be close. Fiorot has a lot of power. She's very accurate, and Leonardo's there to be hit. I mean, her striking defense is like very, very poor. So I think Fiorot is going to have massive, massive success on the feet here, and maybe even knock out Leonardo. Leonardo has been knocked out before with a head kick, and Fiorot actually has some, she's finished 71% of her wins by knockout, so decent finisher there. And I like Fiorot to get this fight done. The only thing I'm concerned about is if Leonardo does, I guess, take down Fiorot, kind of lay on her controller. But even then, like, Fiorot looks solid off her back. I think she can work her way back up to the feet. And I like Fiorot here quite a bit. So if you're able to get in on that plus 115, even if you're like able to get in like on the early line of it, I think you made a really good bet there. I think she wins this, and I would not be shocked whatsoever if the line gets to minus 200 or wider by fight time. Like, I do think she's pretty legit. She looks really good. And Leonardo, just not impressed with her whatsoever. So I'm going to actually say that Fiorot is going to knock her out. Believe it or not, I know it's women's MMA, but I'm going to say Fiorot knockout round two. Round 2 for Fiorot for the knockout there. Next fight here, we have Umar Nurmagomedov versus Sergey Morozov. An interesting fight here. Nurmagomedov is 25 years old, still very young, 5'8", 69-inch reach, 12-0, obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Sergey Morozov is 31 years old, 5'6", 16-3, and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So taking a look at the odds here, and yeah, I don't really get this. I don't really get this. I mean, I kind of understand, but Nurmagomedov opened up minus 515, and there's money still coming in on him at minus 550, which is very interesting there. And then Sergey Morozov is plus 425. So I don't get this because I think Morozov's actually a pretty solid fighter. Like, watching him, he looks really good. But the problem is Nurmagomedov's probably going to win this fight. I mean, watching Nurmagomedov, like, he's very good with his takedowns. His top control's good. And he also looks for the submission as well. I've seen plenty of times where he's went out there and got a submission. I think he's finished half of his wins. And 42% of those wins have come by submission. Morozov has been submitted before. Morozov has been knocked out before. On the feet, it could play out close, but Nurmagomedov, we all know what he's going to do. He's going to go out there and get a takedown as soon as possible, and he's really good at doing that. So Nurmagomedov's still very young, 25 years old. I think he was supposed to fight on a card a couple weeks ago. I think that fight fell through, but finally getting him here. And Morozov, I don't think he's a bum by any means, but this just seems like a kind of a bad matchup for him. I think Nurmagomedov's probably going to take him down. I'm going to say Nurmagomedov decision here. Lots of top control. Maybe he gets a submission, but I'm going to say he gets a decision here, probably 30-27. But the minus 550 is just a little bit crazy to me. But yeah, Nurmagomedov probably should get it done. All right, so next we have a really good fight. This could honestly be fight of the night here. It really could. Two guys that are very, very impressive. Mike Davis, 28 years old, 6 foot, 72.5-inch reach, 8-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Mason Jones, 25 years old, 5'10", 72-inch reach, 10-0, obviously 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So I guess we can start with the odds here. And Mason Jones is going to be an underdog, plus 150. Mike Davis, minus 170, opened up minus 230. So some money is coming in on Mason Jones. And for a good reason, I'd say. I mean, I'm high on both these guys. I really am. I like both of them. I think this is kind of confused why they put this fight together. I mean, two guys that I believe have a lot of upside. And Mike Davis on the Contender Series went against Sodiq Yusuff. Yusuff was able to knock him down like 2 or 3 times, but ultimately he made a good account for himself. I mean, Sodiq Yusuff is no joke whatsoever. And then in his UFC debut, they matched him up against Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns was able to ultimately finish him, and there's absolutely no shame in that whatsoever. And then the next fight, it's a huge step down. Thomas Gifford, a fight that probably shouldn't have been made. It was a fight that was really, really hard to watch. Went back and watched it a couple days ago. He put an absolute clinic on Thomas Gifford. They probably should have stopped the fight. I mean, the announcer was talking about stopping the fight after the first round. I kind of agreed. After the second round, I kind of thought, yeah, they probably should stop this. And then in the third round, ended up going out there and knocking out Thomas Gifford. One of the biggest beatings I've ever seen. Not the biggest, but one of the biggest beatings I've ever seen. But yeah, I mean, Mike Davis, he looks fantastic. His boxing is very good. He's very powerful, very dangerous. But Mason Jones, I mean, this guy's such a beast. He's 10-0. Really good finisher. He's a black belt in BJJ, and I just like what I see from the guy. Like, this is such a close fight. I think the line should be a lot closer, and the line is trending towards that way. Mike Davis has finished all of his wins, 88% by knockout, 12% by submission. Mason Jones has finished 70% of his wins, 40% by knockout, 30% by submission. So really good finishers here. I think this is going to be an absolute war. Like, both guys have no problem standing in the middle and banging with each other. And I think that's what's going to happen here. It's tough. I'm going to go with Mike Davis. I think he's fought the better competition. But man, Mason Jones is no joke whatsoever. He's really not. I think he has a lot of upside there. But I'm going to take Mike Davis to get a I'm going to say decision win. I think Mason Jones is a very tough guy. I've seen him hurt maybe once or twice, but very tough guys nonetheless. This probably does go to decision. It's probably really close, but I'm going to slightly edge Mike Davis to win by decision. But if you're looking for a value play, I mean, Mason Jones at plus 150 is not bad. I don't hate anybody taking a shot on that because in reality, this line should be a lot closer, but I do think I'm going to side with the Mike Davis side here. Really looking forward to that fight. Like I said, it really could be fight of the night. All right, next we have a fight that, is kind of interesting here. In this fight, I'll be honest, it was really hard to get fight tape on Francisco Figueiredo. But he is 31 years old, 5'8", 11-3, 3-1, and 11-3-1, and 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. Jerome Rivera, he is 25 years old, 5'10", 72.5-inch reach, 10-3, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So, yeah, Rivera has not been looking great. I mean, he got knocked out by Tyson Nam in his last fight. Did not really make a good account for himself in his UFC debut. But going back, he does have some skills. Very good on the mat. His striking's iffy. But this is, I don't know. The line kind of surprises me here. So I think people are seeing that Figueiredo name and just laying down the money. I mean, Figueiredo opened up minus 150, currently sitting at minus 150. Jerome Rivera opened up at minus 120, currently at plus. Opened up at plus 120, currently at plus 130 there. So I was able to watch literally one fight of Francisco Figueiredo. One fight. There is not fight tape. I tried extremely hard to find some fights. There is nothing out there that I could find. And in that one fight, and I believe it was his very last fight, he did not look impressive whatsoever, honestly. His striking does not look good. He has no striking defense. He kind of has like that Todorovic striking defense in a way. He just lets guys hit him. But it is not impressive with his ground game. He was able to get takedowns in the fight I watched, but ultimately he was able to do absolutely nothing with it. So I kind of question his ground game as well. And let's take a look at the guys he's fought. He beat earlier in his career, they don't even show the records for the guys on some of these, but he beat an 0-0 guy, a 1-2 guy. He lost to John Lineker, lost to Luis Nogueira, 14-3. Like, it's so sketchy. Like, there's no fight tape for any of these. The records are very sketchy. 1-1 in 2016. Lost to a 12-4 guy. Just really, really sketchy here. No fight tape. Like I said, the only fight I was able to watch, he got hit a ton. I didn't think it was a draw. I mean, he was about to get taken down and slammed. He grabbed the cage, lost a point. I thought he lost the first 2 rounds, including the losing a point for the fence grab, and then I thought he won the 3rd round. So I don't really know how that was a draw, but I don't know. I'm gonna take. I guess I'm gonna go with Jerome Rivera. Like I said, I'm not impressed with Jerome Rivera, but he has some skills. I think if he gets us to the mat, he could work his ground game. Very good ground game, very dangerous on the mat as well. That's probably a strong suit. Even on the feet, like, he's not awful. But Jerome Rivera has finished 70% of his wins, all 70% coming by submission. 0 wins by knockout. And Francisco Figueiredo has finished 91% of his wins. So he is very dangerous, but I just don't see it. I mean, just watching his very last fight, I just don't see it. And at minus 150, I think people are betting on the name instead of the actual fighter, because I'm not impressed. But the funny thing is, I saw on Twitter, like, Davis and Figueiredo, his brother, he said that he compares Francisco to Israel Adesanya. And he said, I don't know. He said he compares him to Israel Adesanya. I don't see it whatsoever, but that's just what he said. But I'm going to take the underdog here in Jerome Rivera. Not all that confident because I really don't know much about Francisco Figueiredo, but I'm going to take the underdog here to win by, I'm going to say decision win, but not overly confident in that pick whatsoever. Next, we have a fight that should be pretty fun here. DLce Lungiambula champion versus Marcus Perez. DLce is 35 years old, 5'8", 76-inch reach, 10-2, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Marcus Perez, 30 years old, 6'1", 73.5-inch reach, 12-4, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So, taking a look at the odds, and we have, this is really interesting here. So, DLce opened up at minus 350. Minus 350. He's currently at minus 135. And that's a huge line movement there. And Marcus Perez opened up at plus 260, currently at plus 115. Yeah, Marcus Perez, somebody that's really known for being very tough. Of course, he got knocked out in his last fight. That was the first time he's ever been knocked out. Very tough guy. I don't like what I see from his wrestling. I think that if he can take this fight to the mat, he can have a lot of success here. It's just I think that's going to be easier said than done. DLce, I believe, is a black belt in judo. Looks like he has really solid takedown defense. And yes, he was taken down in his last fight against who was it? Ankalaev. But yeah, there's absolutely no shame in that whatsoever. Getting taken down by Magny Ankalaev, one of the best in the light heavyweight division. And I'm kind of confused. Like, this fight is going to be at 205. I know that DLce was cutting down to 185 in his last fight that was supposed to be scheduled. It got that fight was canceled, and he looked really good on the scales. And this is he's a beast. I mean, he looks like an absolute beast. Kind of low volume guy, but when he does throw, he lands with some power. I don't know. This is a tough fight to call. I think that it's going to primarily play out on the feet. I don't really see Perez taking this to the mat. If anything, I think that DLce can honestly take this to the mat. Perez has a 80% takedown defense, though, but I do think DLce has some really good wrestling himself. But ultimately, it's probably going to stay standing at that point. I guess I'm going to slightly favor DLce just based off the power. I'm not impressed with Perez's striking at all. His striking is very wild. And like we said, he can be knocked out. We've seen it in his last fight, although he's very tough. I'm going to take DLce here to win by a very close decision. I just think it's a good stylistic matchup for him. If Perez can get DLce down and work his ground game, because Perez does have a legit ground game. It's really legit. It's just he doesn't go to it as much as he should. And I don't know if he has the wrestling to take down DLce here. So give me DLce to win by decision here. Maybe find a knockout. I think he's going to be landing the harder shots, the cleaner shots. I think he's the better striker. I'm not all that impressed with Marcus Perez. Never have been. So give me DLce Lungiambula to win by decision. All right, next we have Sumidarji versus Zaruk Arashev. And yeah, Sumidarji, 24 years old, is 5'8", 72.5-inch reach, or 72-inch reach, 13-4, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Zaruk Arashev is 28 years old, 5'5", 65-inch reach, which is going to be very important here. And he's 3-2, and obviously 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He only has 5 fights. So he does have a kickboxing background, so something to note there. Taking a look at the odds, and this kind of surprises me a little bit in a way. Zaruk Arashev is a pretty sizable underdog here. If I can find it. I can't find it. There we go. Sumidarji is minus 450. Minus 450 opened up minus 265. Zaruk is plus 360, opened up plus 205. And it's kind of weird seeing that Mudaerji is going to be a bigger favorite here than he was against Malcolm Gordon in his last fight. And I was all over Sumidarji in that fight. I mean, Sumidarji by knockout was like minus, it was like plus 130. Sumidarji inside the distance was minus 120. That's what I hit. And he went out there and knocked out Malcolm Gordon. It was kind of one of the weirdest knockouts I've ever seen. He kind of hit Malcolm Gordon, and then Malcolm Gordon had one of the, like a really big delayed reaction, just kind of flopped on the mat, which was awesome. I should have went heavier on that, but Zaruk, kind of the opposite. I mean, he went out there against Tyson Nam in his UFC debut, and he got knocked out in the first 10, 20 seconds. I think it was the first punch that Nam landed, and Nam's a powerful guy, don't get me wrong, but just not a great look there. And in that fight, he showed up really out of shape. He came in overweight. So interesting to see him on the scales here, but I think the 7-inch reach advantage for Mudaerji is going to play dividends here. I think this fight's going to play out on the feet. As for Mudaerji, what we got to worry about is that the takedown defense, and it has been improving, don't get me wrong, and he has been submitted in all 4 of his losses. So his takedown defense is improving. This guy, I think, has a lot of upside. He's only 24 years old. He's been working on stuff he's need to improve, and his striking's very good. Very good leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks, all that, and his striking's legit. But Zaruk, I think people are, looking into that UFC debut a little bit too much, because going back and watching him, he looks actually pretty solid. Of course, got to factor in the level of competition a little bit, but yeah, I think Mudaerji's on a whole different level here, really. I think it could play out a little bit close, but I'm going to take Mudaerji to win by knockout. I think has a ton of upside here, and Zaruk's definitely going to give him the fight he wants. So give me Sumidarji by KO in the first round. All right, next we have Ricky Simone versus Gaetano Perello. Yeah, a fight I'm really looking forward to. I'm really a big fan of Ricky Simone here, just like the style of the guy. And Simone's 28 years old, 5'6", 70-inch reach, 16-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Gaetano Perello, 28 years old, 5'7", 15, 5-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Yeah, we'll take a look at the odds here, and Ricky Simone is a pretty sizable favorite, sitting at minus 400, open at minus 285, and Perello is plus 325. So basically what it comes down for me is I really like the style of Ricky Simone. He's a very tough guy. A lot of people say he's chinny, maybe a little bit, but he's so tough. I know he got knocked out by Uriah Faber. I honestly think that's kind of a fluke. Uriah Faber knocks out nobody. But, yeah, Simone, if he does get rocked, if he does get hurt, he's really good at recovering, typically, besides the Faber fight, but he's able to go to his wrestling, and I think that's going to help him out a lot here. I think he's going to be able to get takedowns at will here. I've seen Perello taken down quite a bit. I've seen him controlled quite a bit, and I just love the style of Ricky Simone going out there and being relentless with the takedowns. Ricky Simone is somebody that averages 6.61 takedowns per 15 minutes. That's an absolute ton. Not really known as a finisher, but would not be shocked if he was able to get a finish here. Ricky Simone does have a 45% finish rate, 13% by knockout, or 13% by submission, 32% by knockout, and we have seen Perello submitted 3 times in his career, so would not be shocked if he get a sub, but I'm going to say Ricky Simone wins a very dominant decision, 30-26. I think he's going to be able to take down Perello at will. What I will say about Perello is he's a very dangerous guy. He's able to really cut up a lot of his opponents, but on the feet, I'd even probably favor Simone. I think he's just a whole skill level above Perello here, although I wouldn't recommend Ricky Simone just stands and bang with him, but I think he could. But I think the easy path to victory and where he will look a minus 400 will be taking down Perello, grinding him out, getting him tired, and winning a decision, maybe finding a submission as well. So give me Ricky Simone by decision, but Perello's a very dangerous guy. He's finished 93% of his wins, but I just think this is a big, big gap in skill between the two. So give me Ricky Simone to get it done by decision. All right, so this fight was supposed to be on the Saturday card, and here we have it on the Wednesday card. It's going to be Tom Breese versus Umar Akhmadov. And Tom Breese, he is 29 years old, 6'3", 73.5-inch reach, 12-2, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Umar Akhmadov is 33 years old, 6 foot, 73-inch reach, 25-1, 3-1 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds. And we have Tom Breese minus 160, opened up minus 110. And Akhmadov is sitting at plus 140, opened up minus 120. So interesting there, but yeah, I already broke this down, but I'll break it down again for you guys. So, of course, we always got to worry about, the mental state of Tom Breese, somebody that does struggle with anxiety, somebody that does has pulled out on fight day, on weigh-in day. But as of late, I think it's getting a little bit better. He went out there and in his last fight looked really good against KB Bueller, a fight he absolutely should have won. In a fight that a lot of people were taking the Bueller side, I guess trying to fade Breese, and a lot of people do tend to try to fade Breese because of maybe the anxiety issues and all that, but this is a kind of a close fight here. I think that Breese is going to have a massive striking advantage. I think he's going to have a massive cardio advantage, which is important to note here. But Umar Akhmadov is going to be taking Breese down, at least early. Akhmadov has really good wrestling, 50% takedown accuracy, which is fantastic. Averages about 2.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, but Breese is really good off his back. He's really good at working his way back up to his feet, and he also is a black belt in BJJ, so I do think he's going to have the grappling advantage as well. I'm going to say the first round's kind of sketchy. I think Akhmadov's probably going to take down Breese, maybe control him a little bit, but after that, I think he's going to tire out. I think Breese is going to stuff the takedowns as the fight goes on and just piece up Akhmadov on the feet. Probably win a decision. Would not be shocked if he maybe even finished Akhmadov late. Akhmadov has been finished in 4 of his 5 losses, 2 by knockout, 2 by submission. But ultimately, I'm going to take the guy with the better cardio here and the much better striking. I'm going to take Tom Breese to win by decision, possibly a finish. I mean, Tom Breese is a finisher. He's finished 91% of his wins, 58% by submission, 33% by knockout. But I'm going to say Akhmadov toughs it out, and it goes to a kind of a close decision, edging it out to Breese here. All right, getting into the next fight. Lerone Murphy versus Douglas Silva de Andraj. And, yeah, should be a fun fight here. Lerone Murphy looks like a really good prospect. He is 29 years old, 5'9", 73.5-inch reach, 9-0-1, and 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. Douglas Andraj is 35 years old, 5'7", 68.5-inch reach, 26-3, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So taking a look at the odds, Lerone Murphy is minus 290, open at minus 240. Some money coming in on him. Douglas Silva de Andraj is plus 245, opened up plus 180. I kind of agree with the opener a little bit more. I don't think it should be this wide. Of course, Lerone Murphy went out there his last fight, was able to finish Ricardo Ramos. Really good win there in a fight that he was a underdog. And then before that, he was a really big underdog against Zubira Tuhugov, where he was plus 375. And Tuhugov was minus 565 in that fight, which is crazy there. Went to a draw, and I'll tell you right now, I completely disagree with the draw. In the first round, Tuhugov was able to drop him, hurt him bad, almost finish him, and then to control him the rest of the round. And then after that, in the second round, he was able to take him down multiple times, control him. So I thought Tuhugov won round 1 and round 2. I thought round 3 was close, but I edged it out to Murphy. I thought, Tuhugov did enough to get the win, but a draw nonetheless, which is fine there. But in the next fight, of course, he went out there and knocked out Ramos, which is very, very impressive. As for this fight goes, I think that just the stylistic advantages of, I think the stylistic advantages of Lerone Murphy are going to be, he's going to be the better striker. I think he's going to be the cleaner striker. Of course, Andraj is very tough. He's going to be throwing a lot of volume, but I think the cleaner striker is going to be Murphy. I think that Murphy can even get takedowns here. He's shown some decent wrestling on kind of on the regional scene there. He's shown some decent takedown defense. Of course, he got taken down by Zabir Tuhugov, but I mean, no shame in that. He was able to work his way up to his feet quite a bit of times, and I just think that the 5 inches of reach for Murphy is going to play dividends here in a fight that probably primarily plays striking. I don't see it really hitting the mat unless Murphy wants to go for a takedown. Maybe Andraj wants to get a takedown. Maybe he does get it, but I just think that Murphy's going to be the better fighter here. I feel like it could be close. Andraj is definitely tough. Andraj has been finished twice in 29 fights. Not bad. He's been knocked out once. He's been submitted once. Obviously, Murphy undefeated. I personally think he should have a loss on his record, but undefeated nonetheless. I'm going to slightly lean at Lerone Murphy to get a decision win here. It could honestly be close, though, but give me Lerone Murphy by decision. All right, fun fight here. It should be really fun. 2 exciting guys, in a way, and I'll tell you why. I say in a way there because Tyson Nam, he's someone who is hits like an absolute truck, one of the hardest hitters you'd ever see, but he just does not throw any output. And Schnell is the complete opposite there. So Tyson Nam is 37 years old, getting up there in age 5'7", 68-inch reach, 20, 11-1, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Matt Schnell, 30 years old, 5'8", 72.5-inch reach, 14-5, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So as far as the output goes, Tyson Nam lands only 3.55 significant strikes per minute compared to Schnell landing slightly more at 3.73 significant strikes per minute, both with poor striking accuracies, 32% for Nam, 35% for Schnell. And Schnell does absorb 4.07 with a 60% takedown, 60% striking defense, and Nam absorbs 5.71 with a 65% striking defense. So, I think Schnell's going to be landing more here. I think he's going to be throwing more. I think the volume, we're going to see it. The volume is going to be going on the Schnell side, but the problem with that is Nam hits like an absolute truck, and I do want to point this out that Nam does have 100% takedown defense, which is very important here. If Schnell's able to get this on the mat, I think he's going to have a massive advantage. It's just Nam's takedown defense is so good, and Schnell's wrestling is not great whatsoever. Schnell lands only 0.64 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 33% accuracy. So I really see this standing on the feet, and I think both these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls, and one guy is chinny, and one guy is not really chinny. I mean, Nam has been knocked out 3 times, but of course he has 11 or 12 more fights. I think he has 32 fights. Schnell has 19, and Schnell has been knocked out 3 times. I think all 3 in the UFC as well. Taking a look at the odds here, Tyson Nam minus 130, Matt Schnell is plus 110, and it's a tough fight to call. I mean, it's either 2 things going to happen. Schnell's going to win a decision based off of the volume, based off the output, or Tyson Nam's going to get the knockout. I'm kind of leaning more towards the Tyson Nam side because of the style of Matt Schnell. He goes in there, he gets in these brawls. He gets in these brawls, and he leaves his chin up in the air. He has no chin, and Tyson Nam can crack. He really can. So I do see Tyson Nam knocking him out at some point. And it's crazy that this dude has this much power at 125 pounds. I mean, he hits like an absolute truck. So, give me Tyson Nam to get the knockout win. I think Matt Schnell is going to get his 4th knockout loss in his career. The dude he's just chinny. He's chinny, and he doesn't really fight a good game plan. He brawls a lot, which is not a great recipe here. I'm against Tyson Nam, somebody that can absolutely crack. So, give me Tyson Nam for the win. If anything, like if you're on the Tyson Nam side, you bet him inside the distance. I don't see Tyson Nam winning a decision. If you're on the Schnell side, maybe bet the decision prop, or even inside the distance is not bad for Schnell, maybe by knockout. But ultimately, I think Tyson Nam's going to get the knockout here. All right, next we have, Viviane Araujo versus Roxanne Modafferi. And this is kind of an interesting fight, just based off of Roxanne and how she keeps pulling off these big upsets. It's absolutely insane. Roxanne Modafferi, she is 38 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach, 25-17 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Viviane Araujo, 34 years old, 5'4", 68-inch reach, 9-2 and 4-1 in her last 5 fights. Taking a look at the odds, Roxanne Modafferi is a big underdog, plus 270 as usual. She's always a pretty sizable underdog. And Araujo is minus 330, opened up minus 285. So some money is coming in on Araujo. And just taking a look at some of these past lines. So the closing ranges for some of the Roxanne Modafferi's last fights. She closed at minus 264 in her last fight. Or Andrea Lee closed at minus 264 in the last fight against Roxanne. Roxanne Modafferi was actually only a plus 115 dog against Lauren Murphy. And she closed at plus 702 against Macy Barber, a fight she won. Against Antonina Shevchenko, she was plus 279, a fight that she won. But yeah, I mean, she's always a big underdog, and for kind of a good reason. I mean, she's had a bunch of disadvantages. I don't think she's the most talented fighter in the world, but what she does have is a lot of heart, a lot of toughness, and I think this is an absolute disaster of a matchup for Roxanne Modafferi. I really do. I love what I see from Viviane Araujo. She is a black belt in BJJ. I do think that's important to note. She's going to be the better striker by a really decent margin, and she's very strong. Yes, Modafferi is going to have a 3-inch height advantage, only a 1-inch reach advantage, but I don't see Roxanne Modafferi having the wrestling and the strength to get Araujo down. Roxanne Modafferi only has a 25% takedown accuracy, only lands a takedown and a half per 50 minutes, and Araujo has a 92% takedown defense. So I think this really is a disaster of a matchup for Roxanne Modafferi. She always wins as a big underdog, but I'd be kind of surprised if she did here. I really like Araujo here to get the win. By decision, Roxanne Modafferi is very tough. She's only been knocked out like once in 42 fights, and that one knockout was like a slam knockout. But Roxanne's path to victory is taking down Araujo, controlling her, and that's what it is. Roxanne has like really, really sneaky good top game. It's really good. I mean, she controls her opponents very well, but I just don't see her doing that to a black belt and Araujo or even getting her down. So pretty easy pick here for Araujo. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there betting on Roxanne Modafferi based off the value, based off of because she did beat Macy Barber as a big underdog. She's beat Antonina Shevchenko as a big underdog, stuff like that. But I think that's a little bit chasing in my opinion, and this is just really a bad matchup. I mean, Andrea Lee, somebody that Roxanne beat last time. Andrea Lee gets taken down. She's like a 40% takedown defense. So Araujo's not Andrea Lee whatsoever. So give me Araujo here to get the decision win, and pretty confident of that, honestly. But you can't count out Roxanne, but she really should lose this fight. All right, next we have the third to last fight on the card, and I'm kind of shocked that this fight is on the main card. Like, absolutely shocked this fight's on the main card. And we have Ike Villanueva, 36 years old, 6'1", 73-inch reach, 16-11, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Vinicius Moreira, he is 31 years old, 6'4", 75.5-inch reach, 9-4, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So some physical advantages for Moreira here. He is going to have a 3-inch height advantage, going to have a 2.5-inch reach advantage. And this is one of those fights where it's striker versus grappler, one of those classic striker versus grappler matchups. Looking at the line here, I think that the best play of the night, potentially, could be this fight ending inside the distance or not going to decision. But the line here is going to be Ike Villanueva minus 335, and Vinicius Moreira is going to be plus 115. So, yeah, Moreira is somebody that hasn't had a good UFC run. Lost to Alonzo Menafield by knockout. Lost to Eric Anders by knockout. Lost to Paul Craig. Paul Craig hurt him bad in there. I believe he submitted him. And before that, he did beat John Alon on the Contender Series. John Alon, it's impressive. He is a black belt. I don't know if he was a black belt at the time, but he did beat John Alon nonetheless. So that's kind of impressive there. But getting knocked out by Anders, Menafield, getting hurt by Paul Craig bad, that's just, the dude's chinny. I will say that. Moreira is extremely, extremely chinny. But I do like I do like his style a little bit. I mean, the dude's relentless. He knows what he wants to do, and that is to go out there and get a takedown, and it's pretty much in all of his fights. I mean, if he does not get the takedown, he keeps trying and keeps trying and keeps trying until he gets it. If he does not get it, he gets knocked out. If he does get it, he finds a submission. So some interesting stats to note here, and these are actually very important stats to note. Ike Villanueva has been submitted 5 times. He's been submitted 5 times in his 11 losses, and he's also been knocked out 5 times as well. So in Ike Villanueva's 11 losses, he's been finished in 10 of the 11 losses in the 5 by submission. I mean, watching tape for Villanueva, what I looked for is how good is this guy's takedown defense, and I didn't really see him get a takedown all that much. His takedown defense looks solid. He looks strong. The last time he was taken down that I saw was probably a couple of years ago, but Morea is very relentless with it. That kind of concerns me there. But Morea is like one of the chinniest fighters I've ever seen. He is so chinny. He gets tired. He gasses out early. He has no gas tank. I mean, at least Ike Villanueva is probably going to have a better gas tank, but that's not even saying much. I don't think Ike Villanueva's gas tank is going to be all that great as well. I'm going to lean on the Ike Villanueva side. I think he's going to knock out Morea. I think he's going to stuff the first couple takedowns. I think the very first shot or the very first couple shots that touches Morea's chin, he's going to go out. I mean, Ike Villanueva, he has some power. 81% finish rate for Ike Villanueva, 81% by knockout. Someone that used to fight at heavyweight for a lot of his career as well, which is interesting to note. And if Morea can get this on the mat, he's going to submit him. So I think the best look, I wouldn't bet either side. I would not bet either side. I think the best look is probably the under 1.5, or the fight doesn't go to decision. Looks to be probably the best bet of the night. I think it's like minus 280. Yeah, it's chalky, but I really don't see this fight going to the scorecards. Morea's never seen the scorecards in 13 fights. 100% finish rate for Morea, 89% of those coming by submission, and he has been finished in all 3 of his losses as well. And then Ike Villanueva has an 81% finish rate and has been finished in 10 of his 11 losses. So, with the gas tanks of each guy, of the styles of each guy, kind of see it hard to go the distance here. So I'm going to take Ike Villanueva to win by first round knockout. Not overly confident in it, but this is such a low-level fight, and it's on the main card, so interesting there. Maybe it's because they know a lot of people are going to be sleeping this cards early, and they really want people to see Ike Villanueva versus Vince Morea. Could that be it? But I don't get it. I mean, 2 guys that are 0-5 combined in the UFC. Don't get it, but it should be fun for as long as it lasts. All right, now we have the co-main event here. Really, really excited for this one. We have Munir Lazzez versus Warlley Alves. And Lazzez, we don't know his age. No, it doesn't say. It doesn't say his age. I think he's like 28, 29 years old, around there. Not completely sure, I forget. But we'll say 20 years old, 6'1", 76-inch reach, 10-1, and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Warlley Alves is 30 years old, 5'11", 72-inch reach, 13-4, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. We'll take a look at the odds here. And this is interesting. So he did open up, Munir Lazzez opened up at like a pick'em, which is absolutely insane on some books. But he's currently at minus 230. So opened up a pick'em. I was not able to get that line personally. I know a lot of people that did. Congratulations. That was definitely a awful line. And I kind of do agree with more where it's at now. Around the minus 200 range, I think it should be at. Warlley Alves is plus 190. Of course, it's opened up a pick'em. So yeah, decent sized favorite here in Munir Lazzez. And in Lazzez's last fight against Abdulrazak Al-Hassan, many people did not know much about him, including me. The level of competition was very iffy, but he's impressive. He went out there against Abdulrazak Al-Hassan as a really big underdog. He closed at plus 309, around that range. And yeah, I mean, he went out there and dominated Abdulrazak Al-Hassan. He was able to take his best shots. The chin on Lazzez is absolutely insane. And as far as this fight goes, it kind of has that Phil Hawes versus Nasruddin Imavov feel to it. And of course, we didn't get to see that fight because it got scratched on the day of the fight card, but kind of the same breakdown. So, Alves is someone who probably has a worse gas tank than Hawes. He's someone, if he does not get that finish in the first couple minutes, especially as of late, like his gas tank is just not there. I was watching some fights and like it was like the 3-minute mark or the 2-minute mark of the first round. The dude's already puffing for air. I mean, he has no gas tank at this point. 30 years old. Munir Lazzez, he can go a clean 15 minutes. We saw it. He was even going out there and taking down Abdulrazak Al-Hassan a couple times. So I think if Alves does not get the early finish, I think that Lazzez is going to take over and probably get a finish himself in the second round. It's just there are some slight concerns. So in Lazzez's 2 losses, or in Lazzez's 1 loss, he was dominated with wrestling, grappling. He was taken down like 5-6 times. And there was another fight. He actually won that fight that I was talking about. There's another fight where he was taken down a decent amount of times, put in some really bad spots, put in some subs. Of course, he was able to work his way out of those submissions. And even the Abdulrazak Al Hassan fight, he did get put in some submissions as well. It's nice to see him work out of those positions, but just something kind of sketchy nonetheless, because if Alves can get Lazzez down, which I do think he does, maybe he finds a submission, but if Lazzez is able to fight out of those, get Alves tired after like the first couple minutes, I do think he's going to take over. I'm kind of leaning more towards that. I think a good play here would be the under 2.5. If Alves wins, it's going to be early. And I can honestly see Lazzez knocking out Alves as well. But I'm going to take Lazzez to win. I think the first couple minutes are going to be extremely, extremely sketchy. Just seeing Lazzez taken down so many times, seeing him getting put in some bad spots. But it was nice. It was nice seeing him working out of those tough positions there. But gave me Lazzez to win by second round knockout. I think the under is a good look. I think the under 2.5 is a good look. I think the fight doesn't get to decisions a good look. But ultimately, I think Lazzez is going to knock him out in that second round. All right. So next we have the main event. And yeah, like I said, we're supposed to have the Chimaev and Edwards. Now we have the Chiesa and Magny, which is still a good fight. Just want to remind you guys to tune into the live stream. It's going to be on Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Going to be talking about the weigh-ins, final thoughts, give out all the bets and all that. And then, of course, my betting breakdown is going to be Tuesday night as well. I know the card's really early, so I might get that out even earlier than that. But back to the fight here. This fight is tough to call. It really is. This is a really, really tough fight to call. I see a lot of people really confident one way. Don't really get that. Kind of go over here, but Neil Magny is 33 years old. He's 6'3", going to have a 2-inch height advantage. 80-inch reach, going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage. And Magny is 24-7, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Michael Chiesa is 33 years old, 6'1", 75.5-inch reach, 16-4. And 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So getting a little bit into the stats. And we can't look into this all that much, but there is a really good sample size. Magny does land 3.96 significant strikes per minute with a 48% accuracy, compared to Chiesa's 2.07 significant strikes with a 39% accuracy. But Chiesa barely gets hit, absorbs only 1.95 significant strikes per minute with a 52% striking defense. And Magny gets hit 2.15 significant strikes absorbed with a 56% striking defense. So getting a little bit into the grappling, I think this is where we more want to look here, because I do think there's going to be a lot of grappling, wrestling in this fight. And Chiesa does average 3.84 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 51% takedown accuracy. Fantastic numbers there. Fantastic. And then 68% takedown defense for Chiesa as well. As for Magny, he lands 2.63 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 45% takedown accuracy and a 59% takedown defense. Not so great there. So in 31 fights, Magny has finished only 37% of his wins. Not a finisher by any means. And he has been submitted 3 times, which is important to note here. He's been knocked out 3 times as well, or 2 times. So he's been finished in 5 of his 7 losses, Neil Magny. Michael Chiesa has never been knocked out, and he has been submitted 3 times. So we'll take a look at the odds here. And Magny opened up minus 180. A lot of money came in on the Chiesa side, and he's currently sitting at minus 140. Chiesa opened up plus 150, dropped all the way down, and is currently sitting at plus 120. And yeah, I see a lot of love on the Neil Magny side. I think that line's going to get wider and wider as the fight week goes on. And this is just such a tough fight to call. I mean, Magny can definitely be taken down, 59% takedown defense. And as of late, he's been not fighting many wrestler grapplers whatsoever. I mean, Robbie Lawler, Anthony Rocco Martin, a grappler, but doesn't go for all that many takedowns. And Rocco Martin was able to control him against the cage for a decent amount of time there. And a lot of people thought that Rocco Martin won that fight based off of the control time because there was a ton of it. The Leech, he's not going to take him down. Santiago Ponzinibbio, Craig White, Carlos Condit. The last wrestler grappler that he fought, RDA submitted him. Johnny Hendricks took him down a couple amount of times. So that was back in, 2016. So as of late, he hasn't really been fighting many wrestler grapplers. And Chiesa is a guy that can definitely take you down. So the interesting thing about Chiesa, a lot of people crapped on this guy. He's not the best striker in the world. He is improving that, but he's not the best striker in the world. But he's been looking great. Ever since moving up to 170, Chiesa has been looking fantastic. In his last fight against RDA, he closed at a plus 195 underdog. Went out there and dominated RDA. I mean, he took him down a million times. Before that, Diego Sanchez went out there. He was minus 310 in that fight. Rightfully so. He went out there and absolutely dominated Diego Sanchez. And yeah, those are two really small 170ers, 170 pounders, but still, he was able to put on a really good performance. And I don't know, at first, before looking into it, I was strongly leaning on the Magny side because I know Chiesa does slow down as the fight goes on. I know he has a questionable gas tank. But after digging into the tape, seeing his recent fights, towards the end of that second, third round, towards the end of the fight, his gas tank looks fine. He looks kind of fresh there. So I do think that move up to 170 was fantastic for Chiesa. He's looking the best he's ever had. And this is a good test for him here. So at first I thought maybe Magny could take over the fight as of late, but just thinking about it, man, I think that Chiesa is going to go up 2-3 rounds. And I think Magny's going to be playing from behind, and Magny not really a finisher. I don't love the fight for Magny here, and it's going to be kind of an unpopular pick here because I see a ton of love on the Magny side, but Chiesa's been looking fantastic. His top game is very good. His submission game is very good. We have seen Magny submitted 3 times, and I don't know, I wouldn't be shocked if Chiesa submitted Magny here, but ultimately I'm going to pick Chiesa to grind out Magny for the first 3.5, maybe 4 rounds. I think that Chiesa will slow down with the game plan he's going to implement, and Magny probably has some late success, but will that be enough? He'll probably need a finish. He's not a finisher. Chiesa's never been knocked out. So yeah, I like Chiesa here. I'm going to take the underdog in Chiesa. I'm not going to bet it yet. I'm going to be waiting until, if more money comes on Neil Magny, if that line gets wider, I might take a shot on Chiesa. I think this is a very close fight. It's all going to be up to, I say, the gas tank of Chiesa, and it's all going to be up to, can Neil Magny stuff takedowns? I don't think he does. Can Neil Magny work his way up to his feet? I don't think he does. Maybe he does a little bit, but I think that Chiesa's ground game is just legit. And especially at 170, he's been looking the best he's ever had. So, yeah, kind of went into the fight week thinking I was gonna maybe even bet Magny, but I'm honestly on the other side here. I'm on the Chiesa side. I like this matchup for him. I really do. I think whenever I see Magny face these wrestler grapplers, he does not do great against them. He has a 59% takedown defense. I think Chiesa's gonna have a lot of success here. So, give me Michael Chiesa to win a decision here, and would not be completely shocked if he did find that submission as well. So that's about it. Want to quickly go over my picks. I'm going to have Michael Chiesa, Lerone Murphy, Jerome Rivera, Vivian Araujo, Ike Villanueva, Manon Fiorot, Tyson Nam, Mike Davis, Sumidarji, Dolce Longabula, Manir Lazzez, Ricky Simone, Tom Breese, and Umar Nurmagomedov. So going 2 dogs there. I had a couple dogs last week. Last week I went 7-3. Which was not bad. I think I was one of the only people that was on Vanessa Mello, which was pretty cool to see her get it done, man. Sarah Morozov was like minus 220 in that fight. But yeah, a couple dogs. I think my only dogs are Jerome Rivera and Michael Chiesa. I think it's going to be really a chalky card. I think if you like parlays, obviously last week was not the week for parlays. I think if you like parlays, I think there's some really good parlay pieces. Manir Lazzez, Ricky Simone, Sumidarji, just to name a couple, but yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, sticking with me. I know it's a longer video, but we had a ton of fights to talk about. If you can leave a like, as always, subscribe if you have not yet. Would really appreciate that a ton. And check out the Patreon. We're almost at 300 members. I think we need maybe 5 or 6 more to hit that 300 mark, which would be fantastic. Really helps me out. I like to think it helps you guys out a lot. And I did add the Patreon-only live stream, which is typically going to be on fight days, but now that the cards are so early, they're going to be kind of at night there. It's more of an interactive stream. Kind of dig into the strategy of the bets, a little bit of my leans and all that. And of course, you get my bets out early. We beat a lot of line movement last week. Of course, we had 2 bets fall off, which sucks, but that's going to happen. My betting breakdown videos have a couple out as well already. I have 4 bets right now for this card. And then, like I said, I got my tape study done a couple days ago, but had some stuff going on. So finally getting this video out, and I'm going to start looking into the next card today. I'm going to try to get a lot of it done today and hopefully get out some bets early, beat some line movement as well. So that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know who you guys have in the comments. And yeah, good luck.